Everyone turned to see the guard holding up the glittering bracelet. But it wasn't in Blessing's locker. It was in Favor's bag. Linda's own daughter, gasps rippled through the dorm like a wave. Favor's face drained of color as the girl stared at her. She stammered, "I don't know how it got there." But no one believed her. Within the hour, Favor was dragged to the principal's office. The principal, a strict man with a reputation for fairness, was furious. "This is not the first time, Favor," he said, slamming his palm on the table. "You will be suspended from school activities for a month. This nonsense ends today." Linda stood in the office, humiliated. She couldn't defend her daughter without exposing her own plan to disgrace Blessing. Her face burned with shame as she listened to the principal lecture them. When they left, whispers followed her through the staff corridor. Teachers who had always suspected favoritism now eyed her with quiet judgment. Some even smacked behind her back. That night, Linda paced her quarters like a caged animal. Rage burned in her chest, not at her daughter but at Blessing. "This is her fault," she muttered to herself, pacing the floorboards. "She's ruined everything. She's turned everyone against me." That week, Linda couldn't concentrate. "They're mocking me. They all think I'm a failure because of her. That little witch. She has to go." Her mind replayed the bracelet incident over and over, how her perfect plan had failed because of her daughter's foolishness. The shame, the whispers, the smacks from other staff, all because Blessing refused to stay in her place. She began plotting. She thought about every detail: how to get Blessing alone, how to make it look like an accident, how to get rid of the body if she eventually took her life. She spent hours in her quarters, whispering to herself, sketching plans in her head. A week later, Linda called Blessing to her quarters. "Blessing," she said in a deceptively soft tone, "come and see me after prep. I want to talk to you about something." Blessing hesitated, but nodded politely. She didn't want to anger the matron further. That night, she made her way to Linda's quarters. She knocked softly. "Come in," Linda said. The door creaked open. Linda stood by her desk, smiling coldly. "Sit down." Blessing sat, heart pounding. "Do you know why I called you?" Linda asked, leaning forward. "No, Ma." Linda chuckled bitterly. "You think you're better than everyone, don't you? Teachers adore you, students worship you. Even my own daughter has been disgraced because of you." Blessing's eyes widened. "Ma, I've never..." "Shut your mouth." Linda snapped. She grabbed Blessing by the collar, shaking her. Blessing struggled, tears streaming down her face. "Please, Ma," she cried, but Linda was beyond reason. She shoved her against the wall. Blessing's head struck the edge of a table with a sickening thud. The room was dead silent. Linda stood there, frozen, staring at Blessing's lifeless body sprawled across the cold dormitory floor. The stick she had used still trembled in her hand, her knuckles white, her breath shaky and uneven. She hadn't meant to. Not really. It was supposed to be another lesson, another way to prove she was untouchable. But the way Blessing's head hit the edge of the bed frame had made a sound Linda knew she would never forget. A soft, sickening thud that seemed to echo in her ears even now. "No, no, 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 this is not happening." She muttered under her breath, pacing the small room like a trapped animal. The other girls were out for evening prep, the dorm was empty, and night was creeping in. Linda's eyes darted around the room, wild and calculating. She had to do something, quickly. Her gaze landed on an old bedsheet tossed on a lower bunk. With trembling hands, she grabbed it and wrapped Blessing's body clumsily, her heart pounding harder with every passing second. The fabric dragged against the floor as she tried to lift her, but Blessing was heavier than she expected, and Linda's arms shook under the weight. Sweat trickled down her spine. She stopped, panting, listening carefully. The dormitory was silent, except for the muffled sounds of distant chatter from outside. Good. No one was coming. Dragging Blessing's body felt like dragging a bag of cement. Every thump against the floor made Linda flinch, her heart leaping into her throat. She couldn't leave her here. The school was too small, they'd find her. She needed somewhere no one would check. Somewhere dark and hidden, and then it came to her, the back of the chapel. Every student knew the chapel's back garden was old and overgrown, a place nobody visited except for the gardener who rarely came. It was perfect. Behind the chapel, the ground was soft and damp from the recent rain. Linda found an old rusted shovel leaning against the wall and began to dig. The sound of the shovel cutting into the earth was deafening in the silence of the night. Sweat soaked her shirt, her breath coming in short, sharp gasps. Every time the wind blew, she jumped, terrified someone was watching her. It took almost an hour, but finally, the hole was deep enough. Linda's hands were blistered and shaking as she dragged Blessing's body closer. She paused, staring at the wrapped form, her stomach twisting violently. "I'm sorry," she whispered hoarsely, tears streaming down her face. "I didn't mean to. I just..." Her voice broke. With one final breath, she pushed the body into the shallow grave and began covering it with dirt, her hands working frantically. Every scoop of soil felt heavier than the last, like burying a piece of herself. She packed the earth down as best as she could, brushing leaves and debris over the fresh grave to hide it. By the time she was done, her nails were caked with dirt. She staggered back toward the dormitory, her clothes filthy, her face pale. Inside, she changed quickly, washed her hands until they were raw, and collapsed on her bed. The next morning, panic rippled through the school. Blessing was missing. Teachers gathered the girls, demanding answers. The principal ordered a search. Linda played her part perfectly, crying louder than anyone else, insisting she had no idea where Blessing could be. Even her parents were called, their wailing echoed through the school halls, breaking hearts, but no one looked behind the chapel. Linda sat quietly as chaos unfolded around her. She thought she was safe. That night, as the lights went out and the dormitory settled into uneasy silence, Linda lay in her bed, wide awake. The sound of the wind outside felt different, colder, sharper. She closed her eyes, hugging herself tightly, trying to sleep. Then she heard it, a soft, dragging sound. Like feet shuffling across the floor. Her eyes snapped open. The dorm was pitch black, but she could hear it, slow, steady, coming closer. She held her breath, her heart slamming against her ribcage. And then, from the far end of the dormitory, a whisper so soft it felt like it floated on the air. "Linda." She shot upright, her eyes darting around. "Who's there?" she asked, her voice trembling. No answer, just the sound of something wet dripping. Closer and closer, Linda pulled the blanket over her head, her whole body shaking. She thought she was safe. But she had no idea, this was only the beginning. After months of searching for Blessing, the school held a memorial service for her. Her friends cried, her parents cried even more. Their only child was gone forever. After the memorial service, that night Linda went back to sleep in her room, but Blessing's spirit was going to take revenge that night. Linda forgot to close the poultry cage before sleep, so she stood from her bed, heading to the back of the hostel. But then Blessing's spirit appeared. "Matron, you killed me. I did nothing to you. You must confess to the whole school that you killed me." Linda ran back to her room, hoping it was just a dream, but Blessing's spirit came back again. "Matron, go and confess now." Linda ran to the chapel holding a book. She went to where she had buried Blessing, but Blessing appeared yet again. "Confess, Matron Linda. There is no peace for the wicked." Linda went into the chapel, crying and asking God for forgiveness, but it was too late. Blessing's spirit struck her inside the chapel, twisting her neck. The next morning the cleaner found Linda's body lying on the ground. Her skin was as white as snow. She ran to the school compound shouting. The whole school gathered, and when they opened Linda's hand, they found a written note. "I killed Blessing. I didn't mean to. She was taking my daughter's shine. I buried her behind the chapel under the mango tree." People gasped. They went behind the mango tree and started digging till they found Blessing's dead body, but surprisingly it wasn't decayed. Her parents were contacted immediately. They took her body home and buried her. Blessing's parents mourned her every day of their life. The school also mourned her because she was their brightest student. Do not envy anyone because breeding jealousy leads to so many bad things. Instead, pray for God to give you your own blessings. Thanks for watching and don't forget to give us a follow, like and a beautiful comment.